All right, good morning. Wednesday morning. Welcome to Win the Day podcast. I'm excited to be here. I'm even more excited that you're here. Hope yesterday was awesome for you. Hope tomorrow is even better. But we're going to talk about how to win the day today. All right. And I'm kind of excited to talk about this because I'm knee deep, neck deep, eye deep. I'm really deep into you get what you give. Think about that for a minute. You get what you give. So if you're not getting enough, it's because you're simply not giving enough. Just the way life is. It's just the way it is. I wish I could tell you. And yes, you can win the lottery. You're not giving much there, and you're getting a lot. I don't know. Do any of us know anybody who won a lottery? Maybe a couple bucks, but nobody's won a life-changing lottery that I'm aware of. That anybody I know anyway. So that's a hard way to go. You get what you give. So give more. Give more is what I'm saying. And what I want to talk about today in regard to that is value. All right. If you're not getting enough buyers and sellers to list and buy with you, it's because you're not providing enough value. Easy as that. If you're not getting enough buyers and sellers to list or buy with you, it's because you're not providing enough value. Full stop, period, end of story. Okay. So what do? How do you fix that? Well, I'm telling you, you got to figure out what your value is. What makes you different? What's your thing? We've talked about this before, your differentiator, right? Your thing. And you just got to figure that out. Because once you figure out what your thing is, the thing that lights you up, that turns you on, that you're into, and you want to learn more about it, you love it, you study it, and it makes you an expert because you have insight. You have keen and distinct insight that others don't, that aren't into it in the same way you are. So the more you can niche that down, right? Oh, I love real estate, massively big. Oh, I love investment real estate, smaller. I love vacation rental real estate, even smaller. Now, if that's what you're into, and that's me, I like investment real estate, vacation rentals, condos specifically, right? And it's starting to make me an expert because that's where I spend a lot of my time, my ability to study and learn and get good at, all right? So once you do that, you get this unique insight. It's so cool because it makes you an expert. And here's the thing I really like. The more you learn, the better you get and the more knowledge you have, which becomes even more causing you to be an expert, which attracts even more people that want what you're an expert at. And it just becomes an engine that is self-fulfilling. And that is awesome. Now, if you're out there generally doing stuff, ain't no engine. You're constantly pouring stuff into an engine that isn't even running. And that's hard to do. Very, very hard. Okay, and it'll wear you out. So if you're not getting what you want, it's because you're not giving enough. All right. And if people aren't listening or buying with you, it's because you're not providing enough value for them. Right? Somebody else is providing more. Okay. So figure out what your value is. And the way you do that is to determine.
Oh, we got a frozen. Let's see if he comes back here. You know what? While we're waiting for John to come back, I think to his point, and it could have been a battery or what have you. I always say that we're never paid for our work. We're paid for the value that we bring to our work. And if you want to be paid more, figure out how to bring more of your value to the marketplace. Julie, I suspect that you're in your 30th year, 29th year? You're muted.
I'm just as bad as John. January will be my 29th year. I'm approaching
29th year.
Yes.
All right. It looks like I'm in the driver's seat right now. So 29th year, I suspect that you bring more value to the marketplace today than you did 29 years ago.
In year one, yes. So, and the one thing I would say to people is, like, John's talking about bring value. I think the challenge for people is, well, how do I do that? What is that? And I'd say, ask yourself 2 questions. Who do I admire and who do I not like? Who bugs you? Who do you see all the time and go, oh, that person bothers me? They might be doing something that you are jealous of or wish you were better at, or you're offended by. And I'm not saying that this is all like a negative thing, but if you can't figure out what your basic value is, take it from the other angle and go, oh, maybe that's what I actually want to be, and I'm jealous, or I admire them but don't want to admit it, something like that. And say, don't be all things to all people. I used to try to tell everyone, not just that I was Phoenix Metro, that I'm Arizona. Like my tagline was, if I don't know the person, I know who does, I'll connect you with them. Mm-hmm. Call me if it's Arizona. I don't want all the calls for everywhere other than, Phoenix Metro, and specifically, Scottsdale is where I live and work the most. But I just felt like I was going to miss out on referrals. And like John says, he's become the expert in vacation rentals, condo vacation, beach rentals. The more specific you can be and still have a broad enough area to cover, the more. And what are you interested in? What do you love? What gets you excited? Because you can go down a rabbit hole and learn about your area, your market, your niche, whatever that might be. And the more you learn, you're just naturally going to retain the knowledge instead of having to work at memorizing it, because you're naturally wanting to take it in. And I would ask you, Destiny, like, what do you find yourself being attracted to in the real estate industry, since, you're coming up on 2 years, and is it 2 years or 1.5? I can't remember.
Now, yeah, 1.5 now. I really love helping people transition from one chapter to the next, whether it's because of a divorce or they're PCSing out, first time home ownership. I'm really getting into that. So that's kind of where I've focused on is that transition piece,
Mark,
we have a lot of people transitioning. We have a lot of transitioning people that, being that we're a military rich community here. As a coach, what I tell people is I thrive in helping people think like a business person and build a business, because there's so many people in this industry who think just like a transactionalist. And nothing to me is more boring than just running from transaction to chasing from transaction to transaction, instead of dialing in and saying, how will I build a business with the systems and the models so that it ultimately can expand beyond me?
Well, beyond that, transaction to transaction, if you have that kind of a mindset, that feeling comes through, and people don't get the experience of you caring about them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
If you actually care about someone, you're going to give them better advice than if you're just if you've commission breath and you're just chasing, the next transaction. Because someone might say, I want to list my house, I want to sell my house, I want to move on. And the scenario is such that they should wait. And I can't think of an exact example right now, but sometimes, because of your experience, this isn't the best situation for them. Or maybe they want to buy a house and they're enamored with this specific property because the inside has been completely gutted and remodeled, and it's beautiful and it's cute and it's all these things. And they're overlooking the obvious, the fact that it backs to a busy road, or a land that's going to be developed, or, it's near a dump, but you can't smell it today because the wind's blowing the other way. These are the things that you want to point out to them, rather than having commission breath. And then they're going to not just recognize you as someone who cares about them, but they'll refer you because they know that you care about them.
Well, and I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and he's wanting to sell and buy. And I just looked at him and I said, don't sell, just go buy, because you've got a highly rentable property. You're young, rent that sucker out, let somebody else pay for it and benefit from the appreciation. You don't need, and that was the thing, is he didn't need the down payment. So this is the time to start building building that portfolio. And so I think we've got to look in and have the conversations of what's in their best interest, not what's my next paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So in that, Destiny, how are you finding ways to bring more value to your clients? And I want to open that up as well. John's power went out in the building, so we're not going to get his other great ideas, but I'd love for you to comment in the comments below of how do you bring value? What are you looking at to bring greater value to your sellers, to your buyers, to your clients? I'd like to know. We'll read those off on the screen. Would love to hear from you. But Destiny, what are you doing to increase your value that you bring to your clients?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is I'm willing to learn. You know, I learn from each transaction something different that I get to carry into the next transaction. And that helps me navigate, negotiate, or even just relate to the person, whether it's, you know, a woman who recently lost her husband. Now I know how to deal with that, and I can take that into that next transaction where I may have to deal with something like that again. So just being willing to learn and listen from coaches and team leaders or you guys. So those little nuggets that I can pull, I can apply to the people that I meet and the appointments that I go on.
What I will say is I've observed clients and those that I've led on my team. There are those that seek advice when they need help, and those that are learning based and are learning into and constantly asking questions. And the persons who are constantly leaning in and asking the most questions do the most because they recognize, sometimes just intuitively, that the more they know, the more as they go, they know and go at the same time, the more value they're going to bring.
To that point, Mark, my husband and I frequently talk about how we see people learning today, whether it's, you know, high school or college or, you know, trying to pass the real estate exam. And we've seen a shift from wanting to learn the knowledge to retain it and keep it versus what do I need to know to pass the test? And there's a big difference, because what happens is people will learn something, like you said, someone will ask a question because I need it now. And they retain that information until they get through that process, that problem, that situation, and then they brain dump. Maybe they recall, maybe they don't. But if you have a continually learning mindset, you're going to retain more because it's of value to you. And the more that you can retain, the more value you bring. Like Destiny is saying, is, you know, from each transaction, every single person, every situation, every closing is different. And the more you can learn, especially from the difficulties and the hurdles and the obstacles and the overcoming, and the more you can retain, the more you can apply that. And it's not going to be the exact situation going forward. It could, but that's where you can bring value, because every time you meet a buyer or a seller, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know the questions to ask. And, you know, you lay out the basic timeline, the path that's going forward. And then, like John always does, is he's always, you know, I'm curious. And then he'll ask a question. Be curious. That brings value. Just being curious brings value.
Jim Rohn said that it's don't wish it were easy or wish you were better. And being a learning based person is the one who's leaning in saying, I want to be better. John says the way you increase your value is by identifying the thing that makes you different, that differentiates you from others. Go all in on that thing. It makes you an expert. And the more you learn, the more excitement you have about it, and the more attractive you are to people wanting your thing. That is your incredible value. So true. I don't think that we often give ourselves to that going all in on one thing. And to your point, Julie, it's I might miss something. So I'm going to be all things to all people. The funny thing is when you become great at one thing, people see your greatness, and all those others roads still come back to you because they want to have the conversation with somebody who's great. And so you actually pick up more by being focused than being scattered and jack of all trades, master of none.
And you can't keep up with all areas. When I first started in real estate, I tried to cover the entire Phoenix Metro Valley, and I would take any buyer, any seller, anywhere. Well, one of the things you'll discover, especially representing buyers, is you become very knowledgeable about what they're looking for at that time. And then you think you have knowledge. Meanwhile, it's changing as you're walking out the door. So, you know, you might be in Gilbert today, Chandler tomorrow, Tempe, Fountain Hills, Carefree, and you don't even have the streets memorized. And a lot of, everyone doesn't recognize how little they know because they think they can get around using GPS. Take the GPS away and they don't know. And if you can't get around an area and know what the next street is coming up, or, what's happening in a particular building or certain area, you don't know it very well. No. And you need to slow down and focus on one area, one type of real estate, whether it's, horse property or military or condos or investments or just, first-time home buyers, move up, move down, retirement, whatever that thing is. Get good at one thing, get where you really, really know it, and then expand.
And that's what John just said here. Figure out who you are and tell the world about it. Huge. Those that value your thing will show up at your door, excited to pay for your unique expertise. John is weighing in. He's having to do it digitally, but his voice is being spoken right here. The power went out, but he's still powerful. Destiny, what would you add?
I think we've covered it. I don't think I have anything else to add. Just be willing to learn, ask questions. The one thing I can say is I remember coming to you when I first started. I was fresh and you asked me, what can I do as a coach? And I says, don't be annoyed with all my questions. Promise you won't ever get annoyed. That's it. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions and learn.
So ask questions, narrow down, get focused. I heard a person say, it was Craig Groeschel. He's a minister that you see on TV or internet sometime, but he said, if you ask most people, how are you doing? The standard response is busy, I'm busy.
Fine.
He said, but the great ones say, I'm focused. Think about that. I'm focused. Focused is about clarity. Focus is about moving forward. And so get focused on who you are and adding value there. Busy isn't necessarily productive. Julie, take us home.
I was going to say, on top of that, if you say you're busy and it looks like, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off and your arms and legs are falling off, people are going to think, well, I don't want to make you crazier. I don't want to make your life more difficult. You're too busy for me. I'll go work with someone else. So, a good answer is, I'm never too busy for your referrals. I'm never too busy to help you. I'm never too busy to, fill in the blank. Yeah. But just, coming back to John always asks questions, curious, how are you doing? What are your plans for real estate? If you were to move, where would you go next? Turn it away. I think the human condition is to always make it about ourselves, make it about the other person, and ask questions, and you will always go further by learning about others.
I love that. John says we're doing the same thing with realtors. We are excited about bringing value to the Win the Day podcast. Look for the new things coming soon. There are some new things coming soon that are really exciting, so you want to stay tuned. And we are focused on bringing values to our clients, focused on bringing values to you each and every day. If you like this, like, comment, share, invite 10 of your realtor friends to join in, because we want to add value to your life. We want to make sure that you're winning the day each and every day. Thank you so much. John will be back with us, I guess, tomorrow, when hopefully the hurricane won't knock us out or anything like that. But let's go get this. Let's go win the day and find a way to add value today. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys. Well, we're done.